What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Walking with the Word. I'm so thankful that you're here today. Now, before we begin, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever looked back at your life and thought, I wish I would have taken that opportunity? Maybe it was speaking up for what was right. Maybe it was sharing your faith. Maybe it was starting something God put on your heart. Or maybe it was simply trust a God when everyone around you told you not to. The truth about it is, opportunities don't always come wrapped in comfort. Sometimes they can come wrapped in fear. Well, today we're looking at someone who had every excuse to stay silent, but because she chose faith over fear, God used her to save an entire nation. Now let's read Esther chapter 4, verse 14. Here it says, For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place. And who knows, but that you have come to your royal position for such a time as this. Now, those last words really stand out to me. For such a time as this. What if God has placed you exactly where you are, not by accident, but on purpose? Now, let's read Proverbs chapter 16, verse 9. In their hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. Can I tell you something? Nothing catches God by surprise. Esther didn't accidentally become queen long before there was a crisis. God was already putting the right person in the right place. Sometimes we think we're just living an ordinary life, but God is quietly preparing us for an extraordinary assignment. Think about Joseph for a second. He went from the pit to slavery to prison and finally to the palace. Every season looked different, but every season was preparation. Now, the same thing is true for us. Maybe you're wondering why you're at school, why you're in your family, why you're at your job, why you face certain struggles. Could it be that God is using every experience to prepare you for something bigger than you can see? Romans chapter 8 verses 28 reminds us, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Notice how it says all things, not just the good days, but the painful days, the confusing days, and the waiting seasons. Now here's the lesson. Don't despise the preparation because preparation always comes before purpose. Now ask yourself, am I trusting God's process even when I don't understand his plan? Now, for point two, fear will either stop you or strengthen your faith. 2 Timothy verse 7 chapter 1 says, For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. Let's be honest. Fear is something every single one of us deals with. Esther was afraid. Walking into the king's court without permission could have cost her life. But here's what I love about Esther. She didn't wait until she was unafraid. She obeyed while she was afraid. That sticks with me. Sometimes we think courage means never being scared, but that's not biblical. Biblical courage is trusting God even when fear is standing right beside you. Joshua chapter 1 verse 9 says, Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Notice God didn't promise Joshua an easy journey. He promised his presence, and that's enough. Some of us have some of us have been letting fear make decisions that only faith should make. Fear says, don't tell anyone you're a Christian. Faith says, stand for Christ anyway. Fear says you're not good enough. But faith says God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. Fear says someone else can do it. Faith says if God called me, he'll also equip me. The question today is simple. Will fear write your story? Or will faith? Now listen, for point three, your obedience can change someone else's life. Matthew chapter 5 verse 16 says, Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. One decision from Esther saved thousands of people. Think about that. With just one act of obedience, one moment of courage, one yes to God. Sometimes we think our faith only affects us, but your obedience could encourage someone else to believe. Your testimony could give someone hope. Your invitation to church could change someone's entire eternity. Your kindness could be the reason someone believes that God still cares. First Peter chapter 4, verse 10 says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others. God didn't give you your gifts just so people would notice you. He gave them to you so people will notice him. Never underestimate what God can do through one obedient life. So here's what I want you to remember. God has placed you where you are for a reason. Yes, I'm talking to you. Don't waste a season wishing you had someone else's assignment. Be faithful with yours. Don't let fear convince you that your moment isn't important, because your faithfulness today may become someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. Galatians chapter 6 verses 9 reminds us this. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Your moment may not look impressive right now. It may look ordinary, but ordinary moments become extraordinary when they're surrendered to God. Hallelujah. So don't miss your moment. Walk in faith. Trust God's timing. And remember, you are created for such a time as this. If today's episode encouraged you, enlightened you, changed something about your approach of Christianity, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with other people. Someone else needs to hear this. I'd also love to know in the comments, what's one area where you're choosing faith over fear this week? Thank you for watching Walking with the Word. Until next time, keep walking with the Word and let the Word shape you the way you walk.